Welcome back to Cephas Unscripted. We are officially 1.5 days, right, away from the biggest match in the rugby calendar. Well, when the video goes up, we literally 1 day away. New Zealand versus the Springboks at Eden Park, where New Zealand haven't lost in about 56,238 games. It is a crazy record that they have. Robin, how are you doing? How excited are you for this weekend?
I'm doing great. The weirdest thing is this year has gone super quick. Like it feels like February was yesterday, but this week has been the longest week of my life.
Yes.
And probably due to the fact that Rassi only announced his team today, and we'll chat a bit about that as well. Because normally when Rassi announces in the beginning of the week, that gives myself and casual something to talk about. But this week's just been so mundane, and I've seen all the edits and content on TikTok from previous games and the record and speaking about how much this game, means to both teams. And it's just taking so long, but we're finally getting to the weekend. Obviously tomorrow this video will come out and then it'll be 24 hours before the Springboks take on probably their biggest test since the Rugby World Cup. And I'm super excited. I'm super keen. I'm super keen to watch a game at 9:00 in the morning. We don't get that often anymore, South Africans, since we left the URC. I used to live for that, but I'm excited.
Left the Super Rugby, not the URC.
Super Rugby for URC. Sorry, I'm so excited. I'm forgetting my words. I'm in the kitchen today as well. Let me cook, Divan.
Yes, you are. So we're gonna discuss a little build up for the game. We're gonna talk about the two squads that obviously both of them got announced this morning, and then just to have a fun one and engage with the audience watching, we'll do a little combined 15. But you know the drill. If you disagree, you are wrong. Anyway. People, please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. We do appreciate you guys just joining in on this journey of us just basically talking a bit of shit when it comes to it. And then you guys also obviously talk a bit of shit when it comes to it in the comment section, right? So who's favorites going into this game? Because obviously both teams have got a couple of injuries and stuff, right? But New Zealand probably favor themselves at home with the record and everything that needs to be broken. But South Africa, we've got recent history over them. Who's the favorites?
Yeah, well, I think as a neutral, you would probably say New Zealand off the bat, just because of the record itself. It's such the magnitude of this record surpasses anything of its kind. So the fact that they're at home, the record as well, you would say as a neutral, New Zealand's the favorite. Then if you go look at both fan bases, they're going to have their varying opinions. And I think majority of South Africans would say we possibly favorites because we've won the last 4 tests. This will be the 5th one, if I'm correct, against New Zealand. And toe for toe, I think we'll do the combined 15 or the combined 23 just now. But I think a few more Springboks will sneak into that squad just based off of form. If you look at our previous game, we obviously played Australia, did a lot better than from the first test. They played Argentina and lost. So going into the game, we have maybe a little bit of momentum, but a New Zealand and South African game is, you can never call it.
Yeah, form goes out the window, right? Always. I mean, we've lost to them a million times at Eden Park, but every time we still back our team to get it done the next time that we play. When we look at this game, what do you think are the key battles in terms of head-to-head battles between the players and kind of in-game structure as well?
Yeah, so first thing, when I look at Rassi's team, we'll get into it, but first thing that springs to mind is we've gone 5-3, so have they. So I think there will definitely be a battle when it comes to the bench and when these players are deployed. I personally think New Zealand have a better bench than what South Africa has, and we'll get into that at a later stage. Mostly, I'm talking about the forwards that they have to bring on. We have quite a youngish team when it comes to our bench. Besides Luat de Jager coming off, we've got quite a low capped bench. So I think that's a big head-to-head. Another one is when we're looking at scrum offs. We know New Zealand are on their fourth and fifth choice scrum off at the moment. And I think this is Grant Williams' chance to really show his ability and prove to the world that he's up there with top 3 scrum offs. So that's another head-to-head that I think Finlay Christie, good player, but not to the level of which, Cam Roygaard, Grant Williams, players.
That's a fair assessment, right? Because Finlay Christie, obviously, as you mentioned, it's not their first choice, right? Like a lovely head-to-head there would have been a Cam Roygaard versus Grant Williams, right? Like the future versus probably the present at the moment. Breakdown and scrum. You just mentioned about their bench, especially when you look at the forwards maybe being the stronger pack. It feels like New Zealand chose their strongest team on the bench, if you get what I mean. Like Tamaiti Williams is amazing, right? Did they go with Samasoni Tokiao? Yeah, they went with Samasoni Tokiao, who's a monster on the bench. Tyrell Lomax, in my opinion, the best number 3 in the world. Like, he's so underrated. He's extremely good. Fabian Holland has played about 3 or 4 games, maybe even 5 games now, and he's been class, right? Ever since he slipped into that lock position when they had all the injuries with Scott Barrett out, he just slotted in so well to the extent where you didn't even really feel like they're missing Scott Barrett, who's the captain of the team, who's been one of their best players, best servants of the game for the past few years, right? Like, they've got such good guys on the bench. And that's kind of what you want as well in a game like this, where they bring off the experience and the on-form guys from the bench. When I did an initial Springboks predicted 15, I had Sasha starting this game and Andre coming off the bench, right? And I know people won't agree with that. And it wasn't based on I prefer Sasha to Andre or anything like that. But now let's say we're forcing Andre to play 80 minutes, right? If it's going to be a close game, you're not going to bring off Sasha for a wild factor or anything like that. You kind of want to build that scoreboard pressure at the end. But now we're bringing on Sasha at the end of the game, probably going to play at 15 or something like that. If I thought if you started off Sasha, see if it works out, and then you can bring on Andre, even if you had to whip Sasha off after 30 minutes, right? You're forcing Andre to play 50 minutes. But now let's say it gets tough. The game gets tough. You have to play Andre the full 80 minutes. So that's obviously just kind of the things that spin around in my head in terms of the bench, because I just used that as an example, but you can use that for the forwards as well. Do you reckon that we should have probably maybe switched it up a bit in terms of the bench to the forwards, or do you think we just trust what's going to be put out there and the youngsters will pull through even though they're not as experienced coming off the bench?
I believe Rassie wanted to go 6-2. And I think what possibly reaffirms my belief is the fact that Jean-Luc du Preez was supposed to start this game. Rassie spoke about it today in a press conference. He was supposed to start. Kulisi was going to come off the bench. And I think we were going to deploy a 6-2. It's interesting now we've gone with 5-3. I've mentioned before, like it's not a highly capped bench. We've spoken about the bomb squad as well being diffused somewhat. So for me, look, having Ethan Hooker in there brings something new. He's going to be hungry. I think he's got 10, 15 minutes in a Boks jersey. So it is quite strange.
He'll probably get a 2-minute cameo, to be honest. We've seen this before.
Yeah. So for me, I back Rassie for giving these guys with lower caps opportunity. In saying that, I do think this is our strong team and people that are on form. But besides that, it's so hard to call based off of who we've picked. And I hope that we can apply pressure from the beginning. I wonder how our forwards are going to hang in there with the likes of the team of New Zealand. Are we going to see them being replaced later on in the game? Who knows? It's a tough one to call.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Jean-Luc must be the most unlucky guy out there. I mean, the guy, he's been picked 3 times now. I think it was against Georgia, it was against Australia, and now against New Zealand. And all of them, he gets ruled out right before the game. Right? It's crazy. Super unlucky for him. But I've got a question for you. What's your thoughts on Jan-Hendrik Wessels getting another shot at being the replacement hooker, not prop, and us not giving the opportunity, for instance, to the likes of Marnus van der Merwe? And also, what's your thoughts and opinions on not seeing Erge Snyman there? I was so surprised when I saw that, seeing Loot instead of Erge. No problems with Loot, but if you think impact from the bench, who's been like the mainstays in the bomb squad, Kwagga and Erge, and not having Erge blows my mind.
Yeah, in terms of Jan-Hendrik Wessels being in there, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he has a little bit more game time when it comes to the Boks in comparison.
But as a hooker?
At hooker, yeah, that's strange. I know Marco van Staden trained obviously in that hooker throwing role. Do I think he's going to play an entire 80? Definitely not. So it's strange. Rassi's back was probably against the wall when Bongi, because I think he has some personal issues.
Yeah, but why not just back Marnus van der Merwe, who's been great?
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one. When it comes to Erge, I've seen a few write-ups to say that he was potentially injured, and it is weird because like in the middle of the week he was with Rassi talking in a pre-press conference. So I was like, it was quite weird for me to see him not in the team. But I think there's probably something to do with a niggle, which is probably keeping him out of the team. So I mean, when you reference those two players already, do you think there was an ability for Rassi to pick a bit of a stronger team than what we've gone for? Like, are you happy with the team that he's gone with?
I am happy with the team. I think guys are being rewarded on form. I'm very happy to see the likes of Ethan Hooker there. I do hope it's not one of those 2-minute cameos. Like, I don't want a 2-minute charity case out there. Like, even if we're in the deep end, give him an opportunity, give him a proper run out, to put his name in the hat, to be one of the future stars of the Boks jersey. So I am happy for him. I'm very surprised to see him though. In my opinion, I would have gone for Erge Snyman because, as I said, just the experience coming off the bench. But that's not taking away from Loot. That's just talking about from what we've seen before in big games like this. Extremely happy to see Rowan Orkia getting the backing. We spoke about this before, getting the young guys through and giving them the confidence, showing confidence in them to actually start the game, make an impact on the game. So very happy about that. I would have still had Jan-Hendrik Wessels there, but just as a prop instead of as a hooker replacement, because I want to see Marnus van der Merwe as well. Marco van Staden getting the nod in that 6 jersey again, deserves it. He's been one of our better players. I know he's conceded a couple of penalties. That's fair enough. But overall, I agree 98% because the changes that I would have made, I'm not unhappy not to see these type of things. When we look at the gameplay that the Boks could use this game, you're thinking we go kind of like we played in that second game against Australia, slowing it down, using the kicking game a bit more, trying to exploit them under the high ball? Or do you think we revert back and try to really take the game to New Zealand at Eden Park? What's just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Rassi would have looked at the game New Zealand had against Argentina and seen that they struggled in the air. I think they would have been practicing all week with Kanan and Cheslin competing. I think with Vali Leroux being added into that, our defensive lines are going to be a lot more solid. I've spoken about it in the past. Vali Leroux's the best defensive player, and I don't mean by his actual tackling, which is still decent. I mean by the fact that he's probably our best option in terms of getting our players in the right places to make a good defensive output. So I see us playing a little bit more tighter. Does that mean we're not going to swing the ball? No, I think we're going to, at times, going to definitely throw, everything at them on attack. But we're going to be a little bit more clinical and make sure we do the basics right. Rugby becomes a lot more easier when you're dominant. So I think if we can dominate the physical aspects first, our kicking game, it'll open up and we can hopefully put some points on them.
Well, let's chat about New Zealand as well, right? Because there's one big factor that scares the absolute shit out of me. It's the fact that Ardie Savea is playing his 100th game and he's playing it at Eden Park against the Boks. You must live in cuckoo land to think that a guy like that, in a big game like your 100th, that he's going to lose that game. You've seen him do this over and over again. You saw him do it for Moana Pacifica and the Super Rugby as well. When push comes to shove and the game means something to him, it is a scary thought. They can have all the injuries in the world, but that alone, he is one man that can change the total complexion of a game. Does that scare you too?
Well, it does. But I mean, Cody Taylor got his 100th last week. I know they're different players, and
The one was in Argentina, though,
yeah, true.
where they've never lost.
Okay, fair enough. Look, when it comes to Ardie, he's probably the seer for New Zealand. If you had to make a direct comparison, people love him. You know what he's brought to the game for New Zealand in sevens and in 15s. So yeah, I have no doubt that New Zealand, not just himself, but all the players around him are going to pick up on that energy and really, pull their weight for him for his 100th game. So, I am a bit worried, but the Boks also are aware of this. So they're going to try their best to spoil the party.
Another thing, Will Jordan hasn't scored in 2 games. Feels strange saying that. The guy is an absolute try-scoring machine. Does he score this weekend? He's due one. He's been due one the past 2 games because he scores every single game. You know what? The thing is just, I feel, because we've said it before, form goes out the window, right? So all of these guys from New Zealand, whether they lost last weekend, because New Zealand don't lose twice in a row. Not really, right? They are going to be so ready for it. Their pack has really impressed me because somehow we've kind of switched with the All Blacks where we try to play this flary running game and New Zealand try and exploit you with their physical game, whether it comes to the scrums or the mauls or whatever. You look at that game against Argentina, that was the only way that they made proper headway, really, right? And it's not a boring thing. It's impressive. Do you also feel like we're living in a strange world where the two worlds have kind of surpassed each other and are we trying to play each other's brand of rugby?
Yeah, I've no doubt that, at the level that rugby is right now with the professionalism, it would hurt you as a team or as a coach not to steal things from other nations. Now, every nation, I believe, should stick to a style that they've played periodically, so for a long period of time, because school systems, university systems, club systems play a similar sort of game, and it sort of breeds you into that and allows you to play your own brand. But bringing in certain things from each nation definitely does add something to your game. It's about bringing variety. And if shit hits the fan, you need to change the way you play. If you've only got one standard way, you're going to be exposed. And I think world rugby, over the past 4 or 5 years have understood South Africa's leading the way in being innovative. And now everyone's trying to pull a rabbit out the hat from each of these, nations and try bring something to their game that they didn't maybe use in the past. So it's great to see. It's good. And this just makes the game more exciting. And there's more to talk about for us as rugby fans. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's stop beating around the bush. Before we go into the combined 23, actually, who's winning this game and by how much? How does it play out?
I got the Boks by less than 5. I think if either team wins, it's within 5 points. It's such a big game that I don't see it being a runaway. Now, if history repeats itself in terms of this channel, New Zealand could bump us because we've got some predictions wrong in the past. But I genuinely think that if this game is won by either team, it's going to be within 5 points. But I'm going to go Boks by 4. And I'm going to say 28-32.
Now, if we win this game, how do we approach celebrating? Do we give credit to New Zealand for saying, well done on this record, right? Because this isn't the record that's ever going to really be touched again. The sport's too competitive for it. Or do we just embrace being the most shameless fucks out there and just like kind of spitting in everyone's face and having bragging rights that we actually won the game? How do we approach this?
We run straight to Instagram and we just talk our shit. No, I'm joking. Look, the record is...
That's probably what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen from a few Safas. But look, I'll celebrate, but I'll celebrate accordingly and be respectful. To break a record like that, to even have a record like that in the first place is crazy.
Yeah.
So, look, there obviously will be a few people saying stuff on social media, and that's part of the game. You can't really get around that. But me personally, I'll be super happy. We have something crazy to talk about then on Monday when we do our
The
match
only
review.
saving grace for the world outside of South Africa when it comes to rugby fans, the only saving grace is the fact that it's at 9 a.m. So only 50% of us will be poop drunk. The rest will still be on their morning coffees, maybe a little dirty coffee, but I can't imagine anyone at 10 o'clock in the morning being safe. If they are, it's probably still from the previous night, right? Because of the nerves on a Friday night. I'm going to back you. I'm also going to say I'm going to back the boys, right? 3 or 4 points. I wouldn't say anything higher than like 5. Otherwise, it would feel like disrespectful towards the record. Like no one deserves to break a record like that by 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Like that would be crazy. You deserve to at least have it like snatched right at the end because that works for the storytelling. So we're going with the Boks by 3 or 4 points. Combined 15, combined 23 actually, because we've got the same bench split.
Okay.
What are the thoughts that we're going with?
Oxenchair, Cody Taylor, Thomas Tutoy.
I'm going to be as non-biased as humanly possible. Well, I'm going to try. And I'm not being biased when I say I'm going with the same, except for I'll take Malcolm Marx in that 2 jersey. I think Cody Taylor is a sensational player, right? And I'm not taking away from him. But I've said Malcolm Marx is one of the best players ever in terms of his skill set and stuff. So I'm taking him. If you had Tamati Williams and Tyrell Lomax starting, I could have easily, for instance, gone Tamati Williams, Malcolm Marx, and Tyrell Lomax, especially Tyrell Lomax. I think he's sensational. But just purely on the starters, I'd go all 3 South Africans. And then at the locks, I'm going Eben Etzebeth in that 4 jersey over Scott Barrett. And I'm for sure taking Tupu Vai. Yeah. He is, dude, he's world class. On form, he's probably the best lock in the world. I'm not even taking the piss.
Yeah, he's quality. For sure. I got the same. Loose trio. I'll go 2 New Zealanders. I'm going to go Peter Steph Tutoy. I'm going to go Savia on the other flank, and then I'm going to go Wallace Satiti. Just based off the fact that
straightforward, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because we play inverted, right? So actually Peter Steph actually plays 6, so it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
9-10 combo.
Grant. I'm going to have 2 New Zealanders in the back line. I'm going to go Grant, Polly, Damien, Creel, Colby, and then
You're,
I'm just
you're
going to have
taking current Polly over. I know he didn't win World Rugby Player of the Year recently, right? But double World Rugby Player of the Year, and he's on the best form that he's been in years. Beauden Barrett has kind of reignited himself in that 10 jersey since he's went back to fly off. Do you think he could possibly have actually gotten a nod at 10 above Polly?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm never doubting Polly again. It's the Iceman, bro.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I agree. I'll go with Andre Pollard, but I don't care about it too much if you would have gone with Beauden Barrett, because that's just how classy he is. And
yeah,
to be fair, on form, if you take the entire game, not just the kicking game, and Polly, to be fair, he's stepped up his game as well. He's in play, he's infield play. He's up there as well, but Beauden Barrett's been running the show. Then I would have taken Beauden Barrett. But for a big game like this, we know scoreboard pressure is going to be a thing. Beauden Barrett has increased his kicking accuracy and those type of things, but I'll go Pollard for big games. He's just a big game guy.
yeah. I got Dealindi, Creel. Centers, I think centers is where New Zealand is struggling at the moment. I think we got the upper hand in the backline department.
Well, there's easily another world, right, where if both of them were on sensational form, you could have easily gone Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor, especially if this was Super Rugby Billy Proctor, right? But he just hasn't gotten the performance that he necessarily wanted since he's come up to the All Blacks. And I'm pretty sure he'll have a long future as the 13 for the All Blacks because he is quality. But if we were going on current form, Jesse Grill has to take that 13 jersey. And by far and away, Damien Dialinda and Geordie Barrett are the best 12s in the world. But you know my stance on Damien Dialinda. He's the second best centre to grace this earth after Manonu. Once again, not taking away from Geordie, I think he's absolutely class. But that's just maybe a bit of bias kicking in there. And that's obviously been a massive debate on this channel and stuff as well, the Geordie versus Dialinda debate. So I've got to stand with our boy. You can have the wings, tell me.
Colby, and I've gone for Colby and Rico. I think based off of Kane and Moody's recent form, I'm sneaking Rico in there. That's not to say that I feel that Rico's a much better wing than him. Not at all. I think Kanan has a lot of potential, and I also am a firm believer he's going to have a good game this weekend. The last time he played New Zealand, solid game. So
He loves playing against New Zealand, to be fair. He does.
Yeah.
But I agree with your wings as well, Colby and Rico. Rico's just given me too many nightmares. And I know he's been playing outside centre for the past few years, and he hasn't really stepped up necessarily at wing recently. But this is the one that I'm going on past experiences where he's given me so many nightmares, sleepless nights and stuff with his performances against us on the wing, just scoring tries for fun, celebrating in your face and stuff. I think he's a quality winger. He gets the nod for me, especially it makes it easier knowing that Moody didn't have two bad games. He had two stinkers, right? Like if this was Moody that played against Georgia and the Moody that played for the Bulls at the end of the season, we could have had a different discussion, right? But the fact that Moody didn't really put up his hand in the past two games really makes it a bit easier. Obviously, it would have been another different discussion if the likes of a Curtly Orange was available, right? Fullback, I love Vili. I do love Vili. One of the most underrated players. I'm not one of those guys that jumps on his back or anything, but it's undeniable. You have to give it to a guy that's scored 40 tries in 40 games, whatever his stats is. He's the new nightmare that Rico used to give us. And I wouldn't even be surprised, even if New Zealand lose, that he'll score a try. Like he knows how to find the try line. Wall Jordan.
I agree with you. I got Jordan in there as well. The bench, pretty straightforward for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you might disagree with one. I'm going to go full front row. I think you're the same. Loet de Jager, Kwagga Smith, Reinach.
Wait,
Ethan
wait, you're
Hooker.
going full front row for the All Blacks?
Yeah, full front row for the All Blacks.
Yes, yes,
Tell me,
yes.
tell me if you any different to me. Full front row for the All Blacks. Diage, Kwagga, Reinig, Hooker, McKenzie.
Right, do you have 8 players on the bench? Oh, you
Gone.
didn't mention Sasha. Did you took Mackenzie instead of
Yeah,
Sasha?
yeah, sorry.
Okay. I do have a few different than you. I'm going with Samasoni Tokyo. I'm going with Tamaiti Williams and Tyrell Lomax, right? Because as I mentioned earlier in the video, I think that's their best, except for maybe Cody Taylor, right? But Tokyo is a monster. He's amazing. Lewitt versus Fabian Holland is an interesting one. Lewitt has always been great, but the impression that Fabian Holland has made makes me edgier to him a little bit, just on form. If I think about impact of the bench, which one would I rather bring off? I'd bring off the young, hungry guy who hasn't missed. I think he's missed 1 tackle in all the games that he's played. He hasn't missed the line out or anything. Like, the guy is absolutely unreal the way that he's just stepped up. But I don't mind you going for Lewitt either way. Either way. Obviously, I'm taking Kwagga, first name on the team sheet, even though he goes straight to the bench. They've got their own little Kwagga because Duplessis Karifi is very good. But Kwagga every day of the week. Of course, going Kobus Reinach. Carl Preston was incredible at Super Rugby, but he's making his debut this weekend. Yeah. I'm going with Ethan Nuka as well because we got to back our youngster. We've been calling for him for the longest time, right? So we got to stand on business with this one, right? And I'm taking Sasha above Damien McKenzie. Purely because I don't think Damien McKenzie has really played his best rugby at international level. Bringing someone off the bench that can slot in literally anywhere with the likes of Sasha, he just screams big game player, future generational star that we have. McKenzie is quality, but I'll let my bias kick in there and go with our youngster. It kind of feel, you know what that feels like. If we had to say Wallace Atiti versus Dwayne Vermeulen, they'd back Damien McKenzie, right? Because he's been there, he's done it. But it will back our future star, right? That's kind of the way that I'm going with it. Yep. So that wraps it up. Do you have anything that you want to add to that, or should we wait for the weekend?
I think we'll let the rugby do the talking, and we'll give our opinions for Monday.
Yeah. See you next time. Ciao.